My question, one, who is a cartel? Every CS nominee talks of a cartel. I want you to explain to this committee your definition of cartel. The second question is the whole issue of the housing levy. By April 2024, the government had collected in excess of Kenya shillings 34 billion. How many houses can you confidently say have been constructed and completed as we speak? And lastly, with the Finance Act having been declared unconstitutional, I think yesterday, do you understand its import on the housing project, and what next if this committee then finds you suitable to hold that office? Thank you.
We'll take another. Nelson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mine is actually very brief. Affordable housing was one of the key pillars of Kenya Kwanza administration. In fact, the president has been many times quoted as saying it was a deliberate way of creating employment. I want to ask you, Honorable nominee, how many young people have been employed by this program? And number two, do you think this program is sustainable, and is it working?
Go ahead.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I think it is important that even though Honorable Lesuda has not come by way of a question, for me to make one or two clarifications in respect of the authority and the mandate of the National Land Commission. Because many times there is misinformation or misunderstanding of the mandates. And I believe that there is no misunderstanding between ourselves and the National Land Commission. Sometimes it's just propaganda. If you look at Article 67, the functions of the National Land Commission are to manage public land on behalf of the national and county governments. 2, to recommend a national land policy to the national government. Indeed, I have one document already recommended, and we are working on the national land policy, reviewing it since 2009. The review is supposed to take place every 10 years. Then to conduct research related to land and use of natural resources and make recommendations to appropriate authorities. To initiate investigations on its own motion, that's regarding complaints, historical injustice, and all that. And then finally, then there is to encourage the application of traditional dispute resolution mechanisms to assess tax on land and premiums on immovable property in any area designated by the law, and to monitor and have oversight responsibilities over land use planning. So I believe that the bill, one of the bills was Honorable Leader of Majorities, and the other one was my bill. There was the very sticky issue that was floating around, which was actually an incorrect position, that we had planned to change freehold title to leasehold titles. One, it is practically not possible within the law for me sitting as a minister or any of my officers to change land tenure from one regime to the other, meaning from leasehold, freehold to leasehold. But with the application and consent of the owner, it is possible. So there was no provision that we had brought to do that. What raised maybe concern is the proposal to levy some charge or some fee on freehold ownership within our cities. Let me clarify again. The levy that we had proposed in the bill that was withdrawn was levy on freehold land within cities. So far, by the description of cities under the Urban Areas and Cities Act, we have Nairobi, Mombasa, Kisumu, Nakuru, and Eldoret is soon coming on board because it has been approved. So 5 cities. But the...
Chair, sorry to interrupt the CS, but because we are House of Records, and she has mentioned a bill that I have sponsored, which what she has said is not accurate. The bill that I had sponsored initially is what then became the Owen Bayer bill. amending the National Lands Commission Act on Section 14 and 15 of the National Lands Commission Act to vest powers to the NLC Act. What Honorable Lesuda was asking is regarding the bill of the Land Amendment Bill number 2 of 2023, which I withdrew, which came from
Which was our bill, yes.
And the issue she has raised is the issue of rates on freehold land. And in the bill again, it was not clear whether it was in cities. It is actually the Committee on Lands of the National Assembly that in their report proposed that you limit that to cities. So I think is good.
Yeah, the process was ongoing. I agree and I accept.
What came from the ministry is not what you are saying.
The bill was ours, but there were many proposals to amend even that bill. And so far, maybe the argument is, I'm making this for clarification, that there was no proposal for rates because rates are not payable to the national government or the Ministry of Lands. Rates are payable to the county governments, and they are doing their own review of rates. We were proposing a levy or a charge on freeholds because freeholds within the cities then therefore are enjoying facilities and they are paying nothing. And maybe I could say here that if you look at where the freeholds in this country and in this city, for example, using Nairobi, Honorable Speaker, is that the freeholds are within the Karen, the Muthaiga, the Lavington, and it's important that I say maybe some areas of Kirereshwa, Kitisuru, Kiuna, those upmarket areas. Why? I think it was a skewed way of raising tax against some people and not everybody. So that if you go to the whole of Eastland and the Southlands, then you will find that, areas of all these areas, that I haven't mentioned, they are paying rates and they are paying land rent, both. And therefore, in other countries, what is happening is that if you have a freehold, then you pay, including any other land, you pay some development tax because the land that you are sitting on is actually has been developed to equal. In this country, then, we are having some people paying and others are not paying. And I think that is a conversation that we will be able to bring back to the National Assembly for debate and discussion, and also robust public participation and debate. And I don't think there is nothing wrong in saying that, but we must understand that in other jurisdictions, what is happening is that there is payment of, against charge against land where developments have come and they were not there before, because anyway, these developments must be funded by either the land or by a taxpayer. So, and I think that is what was taken to mean that we are charging a charge on freehold, and there is likelihood.
Alice Wahome, you are being too wordy.
Yeah.
You can say what you are saying in very concise terms.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Mr. Speaker,
I believe I have maybe exhausted.
Hold, there's a point of order there.
Yeah.
Mr. Speaker, it is good to have clarity on this matter because that bill was as well a controversial bill. It is very important to have clarity here that the proposal that came from the ministry was that all freehold land be changed to leasehold in the whole republic. It is Parliament, a committee of this Parliament, and that's why Parliament must be given credit to where they do their work. That is suggesting to them that we should maybe do it in cities. But the ministry, what they brought to Parliament was that they want even the ancestral land that somebody is holding a freehold in Migori. They wanted to change it to leasehold. For what? She should tell us why. What was informing that? Instead of now hiding under Parliament.
Alice, why?
The provision was saying that the minister will be able to say to designate the areas, which then means you designate through regulations, and I would still have had to come to Parliament to be allowed the designated areas that we would have picked. So, and therefore, the proposal by Parliament, I commend. I think it helped and it improved
There's a
the
point
provision.
of order. Mole?
Thank you, Chair, and I'm sorry I didn't want to interrupt.
You have interrupted. Just go on.
Chair, we are in a vetting process, and the leader of majority and the leader of minority have stated the actual position. But the nominee, she's trying to run away from the reality. The reality is that the bill which came to the House exactly wanted to levy even the ancestral land in this country. And it came from the ministry. She was the CS. So instead of using too many words, please admit we move forward. Because at the end of the day, Kenyans could not accept your proposal. And it came from you. It did not come from the House of Parliament.
Speaker.
It did not come from
Speaker.
Kenyans. It came from your office.
Yes, sure.
Yes, Alice.
I have said, Speaker, I said that the proposal had indicated that the minister will designate areas where the levy will be. It was not blanket, because it is not possible to collect.
Point of order,
It is not
Chair.
possible to collect
Point of
levy
order. Point of
in
order.
the entire country.
Mr. Speaker,
Yes.
that is true. But why do you want to subject a land that is in Bungoma or Migori for a minister who's sitting in Nairobi to designate whether it will be a freehold or a leasehold? Why do you want to do that? Just say it was wrong to do that, and now you are rectifying, you are agreeing with Parliament for that issue to become a city's issue. Just and we move on, Madam C. You are a former member of Parliament here.
I think the clarity I have made, I have even given credit to Parliament, but I have said that it is Parliament that was going to give me permission to say where to levy the. Yes.
Point of order.
Okay.
A brief one.
Yes,
Mr.
yes, Naisula.
Thank you, Speaker. And I just want to put it to the nominee, and from what the majority leader had said to another nominee here, that one of the challenges of the cabinet that was there before is communication, because Kenyans are not understanding what you want to do. When they raise questions, it is said to be propaganda, but now we have confirmed here today that it is actually the truth. And so I think moving forward, if you're confirmed, and the last thing also is when there is public participation and Kenyans have an issue with a clause or with a matter in a bill, it should be discussed thoroughly and given the view of those because the bill could be good, everything else could be good, and we have one contentious issue. Could we exhaust it? Because I can assure you, after what happened in Parliament, these parliamentarians will not be a rubber stamp anymore to any issue that will be contentious, Madam Nominee. So that is all I wanted to do, so that we could make progress.
Yeah, thank you. I would hate a Parliament that is a rubber stamp. It's of no use to anybody, even themselves. But, and I agree with you, this bill had not even gone to second reading, where the debate was going to happen. And during debate, the proposals for amendments would obviously, by the House, I think the subject was still...
We'll make progress. Alice. What the members are telling you is that a bill came from your ministry with these contentious proposals to the House. When it was picked up and spread like wildfire, the ministry maintained a conspiracy of silence. Instead of coming up to say, it was our bill, we withdraw it so that you quell the fire, you said nothing. But that is, let's move on. Posing?
Thank you, Speaker. I think there is need for better communication.
Yes.
I agree with you throughout the entire government, including my former ministry.
Yes,
Honorable
even
Speaker,
His Excellency the President has said, lamented, that one of the weaknesses in the government is poor communication. You are doing good things which nobody knows. And when you do bad ones, you don't own up.
questions on housing later.